In the glittering world of Hollywood, few names shine as brightly as Tom Cruise. For over 4 decades, he has been the face of adrenaline-pumping blockbusters, jaw-dropping stunts, and unforgettable performances. From his breakout role in the 1980s to his continued dominance in modern cinema, Cruise is not just a movie star, he's a global phenomenon. Born Thomas Cruise Maypother IV in 1962, his rise to fame was anything but ordinary. He didn't come from privilege, nor was his path to success paved with connections. Instead, it was built on relentless ambition, unshakable confidence, and an obsession with perfection. When he first appeared on screen in the early 1980s, audiences were immediately drawn to his magnetic charisma and intense on-screen presence. Within just a few years, Cruise had gone from a young hopeful to one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. The 1986 release of Top Gun transformed him into a cultural icon. His portrayal of Pete "Maverick" Mitchell wasn't just another action hero. It was the embodiment of a generation's rebellious spirit and hunger for glory. With his signature smile and daring attitude, Cruise captured the hearts of millions. From there, the hits kept coming. Rain Man, A Few Good Men, Jerry Maguire, and the legendary Mission Impossible franchise cemented his status as one of the most versatile and enduring actors of his generation. But Cruise's appeal wasn't limited to the big screen. He became a household name across continents, a symbol of American cinema itself. He was admired not only for his performances, but also for his dedication to his craft. Known for performing his own dangerous stunts and pushing the limits of filmmaking, he built an image of a fearless professional who would do whatever it took to entertain his audience. Fans respected his intensity, his work ethic, and his ability to reinvent himself with each new project. Yet, behind the bright lights and billion-dollar box office numbers, there was always an air of mystery surrounding Tom Cruise. His life off-camera was far less transparent than his blockbuster roles. The public knew little about the man behind the characters. His charm in interviews, his polished appearances at premieres, and his carefully controlled public image kept the world fascinated and curious. To many, Cruise seemed untouchable, almost larger than life. He was not just an actor, he was an institution. But the higher a star rises, the more dramatic their fall can be. And for Tom Cruise, that carefully built image, crafted over decades of cinematic dominance, was about to face its greatest challenge. As the cameras continued to flash and the spotlight remained firmly on him, a storm was silently brewing behind the scenes. It wasn't from critics, journalists, or rival actors. It was something far more personal. The truth, hidden for years, was about to emerge from within his own family. And when it did, the world would never see Tom Cruise the same way again. For millions around the world, Tom Cruise wasn't just the embodiment of a Hollywood superstar, he was also seen as a family man. He spoke of love, loyalty, and responsibility in interviews, often painting the picture of a devoted father. But the reality of his relationship with his children was far more complicated, and nowhere was that complexity felt more than in his bond with his daughter. Tom's family life had always been closely watched by the public. His marriages, his breakups, his children, all of it became tabloid headlines. Yet behind the glossy magazine covers and the carefully curated public moments, there was an emotional distance that many suspected but few truly understood. While Cruise appeared confident and in control on screen, his personal life was full of unspoken tension. His daughter, growing up under the shadow of such a colossal figure, lived a life very different from other children her age. Her father wasn't just Dad. He was Tom Cruise, the action hero, the global superstar, the man constantly followed by flashing cameras and surrounded by bodyguards. Every outing became a spectacle. Every private moment risked being leaked to the press. Normality was impossible. As she grew older, The weight of being the child of one of the world's most famous men became suffocating. People didn't see her for who she was. They saw her as Tom Cruise's daughter. Every choice she made, every step she took, was scrutinized. And worse, there were the expectations, unspoken but heavy, that she had to protect the family's reputation at all costs. To the outside world, Tom tried to present himself as a loving father. There were photos of him holding her hand, smiling at premieres, or spending time on lavish vacations. But behind closed doors, the relationship was strained. Tom's demanding schedule, his intense lifestyle, and his deeply private world left little space for open, honest connection. Conversations often turned into lectures, affection into control, and warmth into distance. The daughter, however, saw what the cameras never did. She saw the side of her father that the public never witnessed. The strictness, the secrecy, the expectations that suffocated her individuality. She loved him, but she also feared him. The larger-than-life image of Tom Cruise cast a long shadow, and stepping out of it seemed almost impossible. Over the years, the unspoken cracks in their bond began to widen. She longed for a father who could simply be present, who could listen without judgment, who could put away the mask of Tom Cruise the actor and just be a dad. But the more she reached out, the more she felt unheard. The silence between them grew louder. Resentment began to replace admiration. And while Tom believed he was protecting his family by maintaining strict boundaries, his daughter began to see it differently. To her, it felt less like protection and more like control. As the gap between them widened, she started to ask herself difficult questions. Who was her father really? What secrets had he been hiding all these years? And if the world knew the truth she had seen with her own eyes, would they still worship him as much as they did? This was the beginning of a quiet rebellion, a daughter torn between love and resentment, between loyalty and honesty. A daughter who carried within her the power to shatter the carefully crafted image of one of Hollywood's biggest stars. And as the tension built within their home, it became clear. It was only a matter of time before the truth would spill out, no matter how desperately Tom tried to keep it buried. Every great Hollywood story has two sides, the one the world is meant to see, and the one carefully hidden in the shadows. For Tom Cruise, the glossy side was undeniable. The box office juggernaut, the smiling red carpet legend, the daredevil stuntman who seemed larger than life. But behind that carefully polished facade, there was another Tom, a man entangled in secrecy, controversy, and personal demons that very few dared to speak about. For years, rumors swirled about his connection to Scientology, the mysterious organization that shaped much of his personal and professional life. Stories of control, manipulation, and an unshakable loyalty to the church circulated in Hollywood circles. To the outside world, Tom brushed it off as speculation, but inside his household, the influence was undeniable. His daughter felt it in ways that cut deeper than most could imagine. The rules, the restrictions, the constant weight of secrecy. It was as though their home wasn't a sanctuary, but a fortress designed to keep the outside world at bay. Decisions weren't always made for love or comfort, but for maintaining image and control. Every word had to be careful. Every action had to be approved. Privacy was almost non-existent, and questions were often met with silence, or worse, intimidation. For a child, this was suffocating. She saw the man who charmed millions on screen transform into someone unrecognizable in private, strict, guarded, and uncompromising. The warmth she craved was replaced with cold discipline. The freedom she longed for was overshadowed by endless rules, and slowly, she began to realize that much of her father's world was built not on love, but on fear. As she grew older, the fragments of her father's hidden life began to surface. Whispers of failed relationships, broken friendships, and people who had once been close to Tom but had quietly disappeared. She started piecing together the puzzle, connecting the dots between what she saw at home and what she read in secret. Each revelation weighed heavily on her. It wasn't just about Tom Cruise, the actor. It was about Tom Cruise, her father. The man who was supposed to protect her had instead built a world where truth was buried, and appearances were everything. She carried this knowledge like a heavy stone, unable to share it, afraid of the consequences if she did. But the burden only grew heavier with time. Watching her father smile on television, receiving standing ovations at award shows, and being praised as a hero by millions felt like a cruel irony. She knew the side of him the world did not. The anger, the secrecy, the control. And she struggled to reconcile those two images. For years, she kept quiet, out of fear, out of loyalty, out of the hope that maybe one day things would change. But deep down, the truth gnawed at her, restless and demanding to be heard. And as Tom's fame reached even greater heights, with new movies, new accolades, new global adoration, the contrast between the man the world celebrated and the man she knew in private became unbearable.